What's going on, everyone? In this video, I'm going to talk about why I don't think dropshipping is in your best interest in 2024, especially if you are a beginner. Now, I do have a list in front of me here for just a couple of reasons that I want to touch on why I think you should probably go down a different avenue. I think you should lay your foundations out a little bit more, and we'll talk about that further in the video. But yeah, I personally don't think it's a good idea, especially if you are a beginner, because there's just a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of stuff that you have to master before you want to sustain all of it at once, especially as a one-man show. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to read off of just a list here. Number one is you need money to start. Now, contrary to what people will tell you is, yes, you can do organic drop shipping, but the problem with that is that you will always have to be following trends, and trends change very quickly. Now, the thing about this is you're always going to have to come up with something new every single time, right? There's never sustainability here. And so you're constantly always having to move and make sure, you have the winning product, or you have the winning, type of social media posts and whatnot, right? Things that go viral. And I'll be honest, it's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard always having to follow a wave, rather following something very sustainable, right? So that's why people get into ads. They start paying for attention so they don't have to solely or rely on organic drop shipping, you can say. So for those people that are preaching organic drop shipping, I just don't think it's that like sustainable. I think it's an actual skill set in itself, because you do have to be an expert marketer in today's day and age, right? Not too many people are able to pick up on that skill set, let alone fulfillment and systems and landing pages and stuff that we'll talk about there. Some of the other money they're going to need to start and make sure you have all of the software ready to go is, your landing page, having to pay anybody for, customer service or setting up AI bots, right? You're going to need software, and that costs money, right? It's not going to change within that 14-day free trial, no matter what people tell you, okay? The truth is you're playing a long game. I know drop shipping is very enticing because they push it as something that can happen very quickly, but it's just not the case. And speaking of software, that leads me to my next point, which is having to deal with all of these different systems, right? I don't know about you guys. I personally am not really a fan of building systems, and I don't even have a dropshipping program. I have like a course, right? Like a coaching program. So, automations there have to be done and set out. And my experience with automations, with just having this type of business model, has been a headache for me personally. I'm not a systems guy. So I'd imagine setting all of that up for the landing pages that come from, whatever content you're making on TikTok, having to set up your TikTok shop, whatever that looks like. I'm sure the automations there are an even bigger headache than just your regular day-to-day software. And the next point that I want to get into is dropshipping at this point is saturated, okay? I don't know if you guys were around, however long you guys have been around, but dropshipping has been around for a minute. I'm pretty sure it started and it blew up in like 2009, 2010. I was barely getting into the space, and I was like not even in the space like I needed to be. I was really just seeing videos of people like selling the lifestyle, whatever. I didn't really buy into it. It was just entertaining videos that I saw at the time, but those were the people that locked in on the gold rush. Right? I'm sure you've seen some other people like I think his name is Sebastian. I'm not sure what his last name, but yeah, Sebastian, whatever. But yeah, he was in that timeline of that dropshipping gold rush. And to be completely honest, I think people are just too blind to see that it's long gone by now, right? That time has passed. And again, similar how I was talking about trends in the marketplace, business models also move on, right? It becomes a different breed because you don't have those same suppliers. You don't have those same, fast fulfillment times and just certain small stuff like that. That's no longer the same because there's just so much competition working against you. And so that's kind of one of the major things you want to consider, right? Getting into a market that's, already overly done. People are just trying to get a piece, and they're trying to like latch on to the plane that's taking off, but it's already gone. Another point that I want to jump onto here is you're by yourself, right? This is a business model that, you want to create a luxury life by yourself on your own at the beginning, at the very least. And to be honest, like at the beginning, it's pretty lonely, right? And, this is something that some of my like close friends or people in this space that I talk to have mentioned to me when they first got started in dropshipping. Is it's lonely, right? There's no one really to work alongside, and it can be pretty depressing when things go south quickly, because that's what is ultimately going to happen is the chances of you getting started and seeing immediate wins the way you want to see at the very beginning is just highly unlikely. You have to fail so you can fail again, fail again, fail again, and learn. But the thing about being in dropshipping is like you have nobody to really like even share these insights with, unless you get into like a community, a high ticket community that obviously you can get into. But yeah, I mean, you're not on a team. There's nobody there to help you if you are feeling down. Like you really do have to push past it. And to be honest, like this isn't necessarily only for drop shipping. I know there's a lot of things out there that, are the case, but this business model is supposed to supply the dream of being on your own, which yeah, it can be really cool just having a one person business, but if you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to need help. And if you don't have any help, then that's when you quit. And I wouldn't be surprised if dropshipping has the highest rate of people that quit as soon as they get started, because it's just really hard. That's just the truth. And it's not beginner friendly whatsoever, right? Like I mentioned earlier on in this video, it's just you have to deal with a lot of stuff, right? It's like the customer service, possibly having to deal with like refunds and stuff. The ads, if you are going to dive into that, that's a skill set in itself. The ad creatives, just the marketing in general, branding, creating landing pages, stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that you have to get started. And, I just feel like, there's a better way, and there always is a better way. And that's ultimately what I'm going to get into here. All right. Here is what I would do instead. Is I would go learn a skill. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter what it is. My personal suggestion would be high ticket appointment setting. Super easy to get into, but it could be anything. It could be copywriting, video editing, and then you could just stack these skills. That's ultimately the goal you want to do, because if you stack skills, you're just going to learn a ton in the process. You're going to learn a ton about business, about what it's like to manage a team, what it's like to fulfill on, client delivery, stuff like that. Learning one skill in itself is not hard. Starting a drop shipping business is freaking hard because there's a lot of different skills that you have to learn and pick up on and ultimately become a master at if you want to see success, right? And the cool thing about learning one skill is you only have to worry about that one skill, and you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about marketing or sales or, client delivery, client fulfillment. If you're doing high ticket appointment setting, you just text. That's literally all you do. You just text prospects, ask a couple of questions, book them onto a sales call. Easy peasy, but you're learning skills. You're learning that one skill, becoming an expert, and then you're learning others at the same time, right? Because you do want to set yourself up for success long term rather than just going after the quick wins, right? Having that 10K in 30 days, right? As a beginner, somebody who has no experience in business, it's just unheard of, and it's really hard to wrap my head around if I'm being honest. Ty Lopez said this quote that I read over the weekend. He says, and I don't have it. I tried to look it up because I was just scrolling or whatever, but he says, become a master at one skill. Become so good until you can no longer be ignored because of that skill set that you have. And this can just be for one skill. So if you're an expert copywriter or if you're an expert high ticket appointment setter, people will always be coming on your door to help them make money so you can make money, right? And eventually, once you start stacking these skills, you become a master at one and then the other and then the other. That is essentially your sign to, launch a business if you want to. And it could be drop shipping then. It can be, an agency. It can be a growth operating offer. But now you have that real experience. You know what to expect. You know how to get results, right? You know how to deliver. And you're setting yourself up the correct way. You're not trying to go after those quick wins. Rather, you're taking the boat that nobody wants to take. But it actually gets you to the destination, because I will tell you guys right now, 99% of the people that are starting dropshipping businesses don't actually start dropshipping businesses. They just say they do. They set everything up. They realize how hard it's going to be to manage everything, and then they just quit. I don't want any of you who are watching this video to be a part of that party or group or under that umbrella. I'd rather every single person take their time and learn something that's going to pay them very well now and will still set them up for future success. So I hope that all resonates with you guys, because I'm sure there's people watching this video that are on the edge about starting something like dropshipping, and they're worried about all of those moving pieces. I am going to be the first one to tell you that worry is not by accident, right? You should be worried because it is a lot. It's a lot of hard work. And ultimately, I mean, if you really are serious about becoming an entrepreneur, I'd highly recommend you get started by expanding your time horizon, learn a skill that's going to serve you forever if you choose. Because if you learn, for example, marketing, sales, how to just deliver for clients, that's always going to serve you, especially sales, right? If you look or just look online about becoming an online closer, that's probably like where I would push most people to go. But in order to become a high ticket closer, you need to become a high ticket appointment setter and then work your way up there, right? And this shouldn't last too long. It can last 2 years, a year even, and then you're experienced enough, you're in the game, you have enough skin in the game to be able to make that executive decision and launch your own business. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one.